This week AEW Dynamite takes place at Centre Vidéotron in Quebec City, Quebec. The show begins with a match between Katsuyori Shibata vs Will Ospreay, and the result of this match was Will Ospreay won the match by pinfall with the Hidden Blade finishing move. The Young Bucks are interviewed backstage and they say they sent Sting's old ass packing and restructured the Elite, and now they're gonna get their AEW World Tag Team Championship back. Matthew Jackson says step 1 is beating Private Party tonight and tells Renee Paquette to smile more as they leave. Then we saw a match between Private Party vs Young Bucks, and the result of this match was Young Bucks defeated Private Party by pinfall with the EVP trigger on Mark Quinn and advanced to the next round of the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Then we saw Darby Allin hanging out with Tony Hawk, and he says that he was gonna climb Mount Everest for Tony's charity before he broke his foot, but he's got some other ideas to raise money, and we get a skateboarding montage. Renee Paquette interviews Chris Jericho and Hook backstage, and Jericho offers up his proposition for Hook, which is that after 33 years in this business, he'll be happy to give Hook any advice he wants, and he's here for him. Hook says he appreciates the praise and of course, he'll take advice from him. He's Chris Jericho, but he's Chris Jericho, and he knows who he is. Chris says he knows who Hook is, and more importantly who he can be, and they fist bump and agree to get it. Then we saw a 4-way match between Anna Jay vs Chris Statlander vs Sky Blue vs Willow Nightingale to become the #1 contender for the TBS Championship, and the result of this match was Willow Nightingale won the match by pinfall with a Dr. Bomb on Anna Jay to become the #1 contender to the AEW TBS Championship. Post-match, Julia Hart attacks her from behind with the title belt and Mercedes Mone gets up to square up at Hart. As the champion makes her exit, Mercedes gives a pointed look to Willow Nightingale in the ring. Renee Paquette interviews Dustin Rhodes backstage, and he talks about how at 55 he's still as passionate as ever and he wants to go to work. Butcher rolls up looking for a fight and tells him his mustache has its own musk, and challenges him to a match on Rampage. Then we saw a match between Best Friends vs The Kingdom, and the result of this match was Best Friends won the match by pinfall with a victory roll from Trent Beretta on Mike Bennett and advanced to the next round of the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Post-match, you got to give the people what they want, except the Young Bucks interrupt before the snap zoom hug and they leave as soon as they enter, taking the elevator both ways. Renee Paquette interviews Kyle O'Reilly backstage, and he says it felt good to rip the band-aid off against Brian Keith, and he intends to continue doing it on his own to prove that he belongs. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Konosuke Takeshita vs Shane Swerve Strickland to become the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship, and the result of this match was Shane Strickland won the match by pinfall with the JML driver, becoming the #1 contender to the AEW World Championship. Renee Paquette interviews Samoa Joe backstage, and he's baffled as to why Swerve is celebrating when he just won the biggest fate of his life, and next week when he signs the contract he'll make sure he understands what he just won and he thinks he's ready? No, he's not that man, and the show goes off the air.